From the Isle of Man, it's the Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast with Paul, Dan, Chris, and Lee.
So what you're saying is I've been usurped for the week by voiceover man.
American voiceover man.
We thought we'd do something special for the American race.
Special, a little bit. My fucking soul has died. Okay.
That was paid for by me from Fiverr, from a hard-working professional.
I don't fucking care. Like, people that keep people in basements call what they do to their special friends. Like, I do special things for the people in the basement.
So
I liked it.
You know. So our opinions on voiceover guy, I like it.
Yeah, but let's not keep it too long. Seeing as it's the US Grand Prix.
Well, I did these specially for
Yeah.
the two US Grand Prix shows that we're doing.
Yeah.
So, do we get a Mexican one for
I suppose we could get a Mexican.
I would like to put this to the public vote. If our American listeners, especially our American listeners, found American voiceover guy a bit of a twat, then please let me know.
Yeah, don't forget our American listeners will have probably heard that guy doing everything because I've seen his list of credits. And it's absolutely immense. In fact, he does the Three Legs Fourth Down podcast intro as well.
Is it like when you see the cast of Family Guy and you realise there's like three people do it?
That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah. Seth MacFarlane, Seth Green, and Mila Kunis. That's it.
Yeah.
And the guy that does Cleveland,
Yeah.
whose name I can't remember. I better get back on topic. This isn't Patreon.
No, this is the full-on podcast.
This is the
Let's
full-on
do this.
podcast. Right, we have Circuit of the Americas this weekend.
We do. We're going to do the preview first, or should we look at some news first?
Let's do the preview
We'll
first.
do the preview. Team by team, as we usually do.
Okie dokie.
And which teammate will win?
Yeah. We will start at the back with Sauber. Who cares? I mean,
Controversial.
Oh, are Sauber going to be at the back?
well, I'm going from the Constructors' Championship, and they're
Okay.
kind of last.
Yeah, that's fine. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
So
because
don't forget. This is the team that says points aren't an issue for us this season, but we have to beat Manor. This is Manor who've already scored points.
Yeah, and are looking likely to tease for points if anything goes awry in any remaining Grand Prix for the season. I don't think Sauber
I like
are
the
anywhere
idea of
near
teasing
the
for points. Teasing for points.
You will tease for anything.
Oh yeah, it does. It sounds like something you do just with one finger.
That's tickling.
Just tease. No, not if it's on the gooch. Just tease and
dear.
teasing for points.
On the goose.
Gooch. It's
Graham
the lonely bit of skin between your asshole and your.
The smelly bridge.
Yeah. The gooch never sees any love.
Oh dear.
It only ever gets to watch the action, no matter what's going on.
We were just talking before about under 18s listening to this show.
They've got gooches.
Oh god. Right. Anyway,
Sauber.
Sauber.
The gooch of Formula One.
Never gets the action, just gets to watch.
Oh God, we're
Marcus
Probably won't do very well.
No, probably not. Marcus Ericsson's been the better of the two drivers in recent races. Felipe Nasr, I don't think he's been particularly terrible, but he's been terrible for Sauber, which in relative terms is fucking awful.
Yeah.
So, you
Is Nasser's head somewhere else, like in negotiations with another team?
I think
next
his
to his gooch.
Oh, no, quite enough. Stop this now.
This is your final warning anymore, and it's Jacques Villeneuve time.
Okay.
I think if you're look, everyone knows that your biggest rival is your teammate.
Yeah.
And if one of your teammates'
first
mates
rival, yeah.
has just bought the team, your head's not going to be in a good place.
No.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget the Sauber have plastered all over the car Banco do Brasil, and not that you'd ever know because you don't see them on TV. But the that sponsorship comes from Felipe Nasr and not Marcus Ericsson. So unless there's a title sponsor coming in for Sauber next year,
Ericsson Corp.
Ericsson Corp, yeah, or dollar signs everywhere,
Yeah.
gold dollar signs, then I don't see how that driver lineup's going to change because they both bring in massive investment. Ericsson perhaps more so than he was bringing in with the recent takeover of the team. But Marcus Ericsson's been looking more likely to score points than Felipe Nasr in recent races. There's been, was it last year where they had the really, really big thunderstorm at the Circuit of the Americas?
Yeah, well, they ended up having quali on the Sunday.
And they had to have the quali on the Sunday. And
Was that last year? Was it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then the race just a couple of hours afterwards.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, because I was gutted I was going to miss qualifying because I was doing a gig on Saturday night, and then when I found out that it had been put off till Sunday morning, I had a really good gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
It was for a lesbian's 40th birthday party. There you go, Lee. Open season.
He's
What's
gone
weird
quiet.
about that?
He. Yeah,
I bet season wasn't the only thing that was open.
Oh, no. But the thing is, I don't think Sauber are going to be anywhere near scoring points in Austin unless we have a repeat of that weather, something that throws everybody off balance a little bit, makes everybody rethink, could be an equaliser. Sauber are way off the pace at the moment.
Oh, the FIA changed the regulations, and instead of the engines being powered by petrol, they're powered by money.
Yeah. In which case, congratulations, Lewis Hamilton.
I've got a funny feeling. Like I don't even know. I've got no grounds to think of this, but this time next year we'll be talking about Sauber being up for sale. I think that company that's bought Sauber, if
Ericsson Corp.
yeah, is just I don't know. There's just something about all that doesn't make me feel like like when Manor had got investment. And that guy came in. There was a clear plan.
Yeah, he was like,
Yeah.
my name's Stephen Fitzpatrick. He came out, he's very public with it. He's like, my name's Stephen Fitzpatrick. I'm the man from this energy company, and I plan to invest my own money, not money from my company, into this Formula One team.
Yeah.
It's going to take this amount of time to get to where we want to be, and this is the plan for the next few years. From the Sauber owners, we've heard we're not going to do anything this year.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even know who they are apart from Swedish investors.
And also, we've talked about last week on the podcast about them using 2016 power units, which was against the rules until Sauber decided they couldn't afford 2017 power units.
Yeah.
Not
looking good for them.
This is a team that is going backwards.
Absolutely. And Manor are going to be, well, they're already on their tails and sometimes ahead of them in the Constructors' Championship, as you just pointed out before.
Although the point of order on that, you said that Manor had points.
Point.
Yeah, point from Austria.
So you made your points of order.
Yes.
So 2016, Totes Repug.
Yeah. And I think we'll see Sauber.
Lol.
I think we'll see Sauber again languishing towards the back. And a normal dry race weekend, I think that they might hope to be pushing around 14th, 13th place, but no better than that.
I think they'll be lucky to be there, mate.
Yeah.
I seriously think they'll only get 13th, 14th place if there's only 13 or 14 finishers.
I think Manor will overtake them next year now.
Yeah.
Power unit, and considering they've only just got investment in, their next year's car clearly can't be too far forward. At least Manor, no matter how underdeveloped their car will be compared to the rest of the field next year, at least it's been in development.
Yeah, Manor as well. Are they next on the list?
They are next on the list. Just one thing before I finish on Sauber. Nasser or Ericsson for the higher place?
Oh yeah, Ericsson.
I think Nazar's still the better driver, so Nazar.
I don't care.
Ericsson's got the form at the minute.
Yes, that's probably the only reason I picked him. Because late season, Ericsson tends to wake up a bit.
Yeah. Realises, hang on, I must
wake him up when September ends.
Yeah, I'll do something to justify all this investment that I'm getting.
Yeah.
It's called an accelerator.
I'll say Ericsson because I used to have a Sony Ericsson phone.
There you go.
You used to get a new phone every other week.
I was looking at new phones last night, actually.
Because he's a drummer and he loses phones very often to beer.
Very probably.
Quite fancy one of the Google Pixel numbers.
Oh dear God. Manor then.
Yeah.
1 point's finished so far this season, which is more than they've ever had. Say that every time. Two good drivers, at least one of which probably won't be with them come March.
Well, the silly season, we'll talk about the silly season in a bit, but it does look as though one, maybe both of their drivers could be off to other teams. But if they're both very young drivers still, and you've got to ask questions of them as young drivers that if their heads are already looking at next season and with a different team, are they going to be able to perform in that car for the remaining 4 races of this season?
I think they'll be able to perform to what that car can do.
Japan was the first time this season that Pascal Wehrlein was fairly beaten by his teammate, notwithstanding retirements where Rio Haryanto finished and Wehrlein didn't. It was the first time this year that Wehrlein's been beaten by his teammate.
Wasn't it also the only circuit that Ocon's raced on before?
I think it might have been, that he's raced at so far. I don't know if he's raced the circuit of the Americas.
No, this is new for both of them, and of course they've got Jordan King testing in FP1 on Friday.
Testing
as well.
Pascal Wehrlein's car.
Yeah.
Now I wonder if this has anything to do with the fact that Pascal Wehrlein was a late call up for Mercedes at the tyre test in Barcelona.
I think it's got everything to do with what we'll talk about later.
Okay, because Lewis Hamilton, which we'll talk about in a bit as well, he pulled out of the tyre test and Pascal Wehrlein was called up. So I wonder if they're just giving him, a bit like footballers do when they're called up for international duty. They get given a little bit of extra leave for training for the weekend's club fixtures. I wonder if Wehrlein's been given sort of, you can have a little bit more time to rest because you'll only fly in.
Have a lie-in on Friday.
Yeah, you'll only fly in Wednesday, Thursday. You won't be at peak performance in time for Friday. So
Presumably, jet lag's got to be a factor when you're piloting a car at 200 mile an hour.
I would have thought so, yeah. And Jordan King, as we just said, then gets his first proper go in a Manor race car during a Grand Prix weekend. He's already tested for Manor at Barcelona and was it Bahrain where they had another test earlier this season?
The young drivers.
Yeah, Jordan King took part in both those, but he's actually taking part in a Grand Prix weekend for the first time. But yeah, I think he's like
Is English Jordan King?
Yeah. He's 4th or 5th at the moment. I can't remember in the GP2. There's only one race left in GP2 for the rest of the season. So he's had a fairly solid season. But
didn't he come in halfway through as well?
No, I think he was in it right.
No,
at the
he's
start.
been there all season.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure whether he was the one that replaced Ocon or something like that.
No. I think he's been.
No, Ocon was Wehrlein's replacement in DTM.
Right, got you.
And to my shame, I haven't actually caught up with a lot of GP2 this year. I'm normally quite good at watching the GP2 races.
Yeah,
but
I haven't seen any.
I've hardly seen any this year, so that's quite shameful on my part. But Jordan King, 5th place in GP2. Looks like he's going to get his shot in a practice session. Be interesting to see how he gets on in comparison, because the other two drivers, I mean, Ocon's going to take part in FP1 as well, and you're also going to have Pascal Wehrlein then in the car for FP2.
Yeah,
and on Saturday as well.
Just needs to be within a second, really, doesn't he? That's what we usually think.
Yeah, and we've seen disappointing performances from Palmer in the Renault this year, but when he was at Lotus last year, as a test driver, we know it's the same team, but when he was within a second, if not sometimes faster,
to Maldonado.
Past Maldonado. Yeah. So there's it's an interesting one to watch, Jordan King.
Yeah, interesting quote from Manor, in particular from Dave Ryan. Just making it sound a little bit like Jordan King's in with a shout of a race seat next season.
Go on.
We look forward to getting his feedback and this further opportunity to appraise his performance.
There's further opportunity.
This is further opportunity to appraise his performance.
Well, yeah, it's a possibility then for.
So
race seat or reserve and test driver.
Could be either.
Who owns him? Is he tied to?
Don't Biscuits own him?
He's got Fox's Biscuit sponsorship.
No, but is he not like tied to a team? Who's he?
I don't think he's a young driver.
I don't think he's on the young driver program for anyone.
No, I don't think he is either. But he's.
I mean, he races in the same GP2 team as long-time friend of the podcast, Norman Natter.
Yeah.
Racing Engineering.
Yeah. So when it comes to actual race, of course, you're going to have Ocon and Wehrlein in the car on Sunday. I think Wehrlein will probably come out on top against Esteban Ocon. Although I expect it to be quite close. Ocon might have a bit of.
I think Ocon, because I think from what Ocon's done, considering the head start Wehrlein's got, because realistically, when you think Wehrlein wasn't doing too much to beat Haryanto at times,
yeah,
and I think Ocon coming into the team has really kicked Wehrlein into gear
touch,
a bit.
Yeah.
But so consider if he can do that coming in, I'd hazard a guess that I think he might be a little bit better than Wehrlein.
Yeah, Possibly. I just, with it being a circuit that neither of them have raced at before, I think it's a leveler. I think Wehrlein probably just has the edge at the moment.
Oh, he's had longer in the car, but
yeah, but I mean that could easily turn around in time for the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? Like by the time we get to Abu Dhabi, I could be saying, oh no, given the last couple of races, Ocon should be miles ahead of Wehrlein.
Yeah.
Or it could be the other way around. But I expect Pascal Wehrlein will finish ahead of Esteban Ocon, but I don't think, similar to Sauber, I don't think they'll be up there in the points. That twisty first section that you've got at the Circuit of the Americas are very much like the Beckett's section of Silverstone. It's just, it relies too much on downforce.
And the back part of the circuit as well, that long sweeping corner.
Yeah. It relies too much on downforce, and Manor don't have a good downforce package. You don't have a good aero package, basically. Yeah.
Good on the straights, lousy on the turns.
Yeah, so they'll be fantastic down that nearly 1 kilometre straight, or however long it is.
But that's not going to be enough to make up for the Maggots Beckett's.
No, it's not. No. And as Lee said, then that back end of the circuit as well, with the big sweeping right hand, triple right hand turn, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the one that I always lose time on when I'm playing on the PlayStation. I'm going for Wehrlein, but not by much for this weekend.
Wehrlein, but not by much.
Yeah.
Again, so I think 3 of us, and Lee are saying Ocon.
I'm going Ocon.
Yeah, but it's a fair shout.
All right, Renault next. At least one of their drivers will not be in the Flying Banana next season.
And I don't think Renault have decided which one yet, to be honest with you. I mean, they know they've got Hülkenberg, but whether or not they kick out K-Mag or Palmer, I mean, or both. Could well be both.
I think it'll be both. I think.
Yeah, they could well kick both of them out. K-Mag is going to be starting to get impatient with his notice that he gave to the team very publicly and quite stupidly.
Yeah.
Where's he going to go?
Yeah, exactly.
He's got no sponsorship, or next to no sponsorship.
No. The thing is as well, not only has he got no sponsorship, when Ron Dennis went to Homeland with him and tried to get Lego and whatever else to sponsor
Bacon.
him.
Pack, yeah.
They had no interest. So not only has he got no sponsorship, he's actually got no interest from the major companies.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? 15 months ago, we were talking about Ron taking him and pimping him out to sponsors.
Yeah.
And then 12 and a half months ago, he got fired.
He seems to be the driver nowadays that when you read like comments and stuff like that, he's like the Nick Heidfeld with people, where people go, oh, they should give him a car, he's a really good driver, and they'll reading the comments going, you've got absolutely no evidence to back up this claim that he's a really good driver. I
think on the face of it, I think he's better than Jolyon Palmer.
Yeah, but if he was worth keeping around, and because don't forget anything when you consider how he was built up and brought into the team and stuff like that, anything less than a potential race winner / championship winner would be a failure, for how he's been presented to us.
Oh yeah, I mean, when he sort of came into McLaren, he's the future.
Yeah.
He's our next Lewis. No, he isn't.
Yeah, and so with that, I would expect him, unless Palmer's better than we think he is, and that car is worse than we think it is,
which could be the case.
Of course it could. I mean, you'd expect him to be 2 seconds down the road from Palmer if the hype was to be believed.
Yeah, that's it.
I'd keep Palmer. If I had to keep one of them.
If I had to get one of them, I'd keep K-Mag, because he's more of a known quantity.
That's why I'd keep Palmer, because there's still the slightest chance
that he's awesome
of a race driver, of a really good driver. Whereas all you're doing is at very, 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 very best, you're going to breed another Heikki Kovalainen, and nobody needs another Heikki Kovalainen.
The Enston team don't need another Heikki Kovalainen because he was already there, and they got rid of him. So
they must know the smell, mustn't they?
He smells like a Kovalainen. Smells like a second place. But to be fair, Renault would snap anyone's hand off who offered them a second place in Austin, and they're not going to get anywhere near that.
I think they'd snap anyone's hand if they offered them a 10th place.
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see him in the points this weekend.
They've been knocking on the door.
Yeah,
lately.
they'll be there or thereabouts. Given that Toro Rosso are struggling with their 2015 power unit at the moment, and Renault have got obviously the latest Renault power unit. It's
It only takes that and both McLarens to blow up.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're not.
I wouldn't bet money against them getting points. It's not
likely.
hugely likely, but it's nowhere near impossible.
Yeah, McLaren last year likely.
Yeah, possibly. Probably. Here we are. Possibly, maybe. Who knows? Welcome to Three Legs, Four Wheels, the questionable podcast.
It's the pit of certainty,
or is it?
Definitely questionable.
Who do you reckon is going to do the best out of the pair of them?
Palmer.
I'm going to say Palmer. Just
Going back on what I just said, Palmer, because
I want him
he's got the confidence boost of beating K-Mag at the last race, and he just, I don't know, he appears to be more relaxed at the moment, whereas K-Mag is tense and very publicly unhappy with the team that he's with, and might not have a team to be with next year.
Yeah, I'd say
Whereas Palmer just seems to just be focused on the here and now.
both him and fucking Grosjean need to wind the necks in slightly, I think.
Yeah, a little.
Anyway.
Who's next on the list?
Next on the list we have Haas.
Oh, it is Haas. So
It is Haas.
Good link with Grosjean there, Lee.
Yeah, the
Seamless.
Oh yeah.
yeah the homecoming race.
The homecoming for Haas. Do we need to play a drinking game on Sunday with perhaps non-alcoholic drinks, where any time we see a group of American fans in Haas, fully decked out in Haas gear,
You mean full kit
Full
wankers?
kit wankers.
full
Yeah.
kit wankers, yeah. What was the best one we saw full kit wanker? Was it the Chinese one where there was an actual Kimi Raikkonen full kit wanker
Yeah,
with
yeah.
helmet and everything?
Yeah.
Full on suit.
In a wrestling analogy, would a full kit wanker just be anybody with a championship replica belt?
No.
No.
A full
that-
kit wanker would
It
be.
would have to be the complete. If you're talking wrestling, the complete in-ring attire with the championship belt.
In ring attire, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
couldn't get away with even with just like t-shirt,
No,
cap.
no, because
full kit wanker.
full kit wanker. It's a football thing.
But
It's soccer ball.
nobody's going to go to a wrestling event with trunks on.
Oh no, I've seen it. I've seen people dressed as Hulk Hogan at wrestling events.
Oh, that's different.
You say no.
He's not a wrestler.
You say nobody's going to go to a wrestling event with trunks on, but not every wrestler wears trunks. Remember Bret Hart with the pink spandex?
Okay, well, all tights then.
Anyway, Formula One.
Formula One.
For more of that, you can go and listen to Banter Club Wrestling Podcast.
I would say you.
Shameless plug of the podcast.
First free one.
Yeah, or 17th, depending on what order you're listening to this in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I reckon two fingers of beverage of choice every time you see a Haas full kit wanker.
Full kit wanker.
Yeah.
That's the
Race suit.
yeah, race suit. Right. Okay.
Anyone in the garage doesn't count.
No. Neither does Esteban Gutierrez.
Spanned, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Gutierrez and Grosjean.
All right. Three fingers of beverage of choice every time you see someone in a Sauber race suit, including in the garage.
Oh no, we'll be
You
completely
die of
sober.
you'd die of dehydration.
The battle between Gutierrez and Grosjean is getting quite interesting, because Gutierrez was in the head-to-head, he was well down on Grosjean, although now he's sort of clawed it back, and I think if he wins over Grosjean the remaining races of the season, he can draw level with Grosjean, which sounds ridiculous. But
Bearing in mind Grosjean has been in the points and Gutierrez likes 11th.
Gutierrez loves 11th. In fact, we've even called 11th place on Formula Lee Gutierrez.
Yeah.
So, if you get pushed out of 10th at the last minute, you've been Gutierrez.
Which usually happens because somebody always puts a decent time in at about 1 minute to 7 on the Monday.
That'd be Derek then.
I need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Gutierrez has been proving recently that he is the quicker of the two.
I think Gene Haas has said that they're not sacking him yet. They're giving him a few more races to.
Well, the thing is,
prove himself.
He's turned around and said that the deal's done.
He's more level-headed. This is the thing. Gutierrez is more level-headed than Grosjean.
But he's shit.
Yeah, he's not as fast on a fast day. But when Grosjean loses his head, he loses his speed. He's nowhere near as good as he should be.
That's no excuse to keep a shit driver.
So they should get rid of both then.
Yeah.
I mean, Gutierrez has come out and said he's surprised by the level of support that he's getting from the team, even though he hasn't scored points, and they've not announced if he's going to be driving for him next season.
Yeah, did he have Gene Haas's penis in his mouth when he said that?
Thing is, you've got two very important races coming up now for Esteban Gutierrez. The USA, which takes place in Texas, which is, got a large Mexican population.
And
then you've
kind
got
of Haas's home Grand Prix.
Yeah, and Haas's home Grand Prix in the States. And then you've got the Mexican Grand Prix, Esteban's home Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So, two important races for Gutierrez.
But I wonder, though.
I expect. What I'm saying is, with the pressure on him to sort of perform, and he's been on the cusp of points so many times.
5 11th place finishes.
5. Good Lord.
I wouldn't put much stock in him being Mechanis on this, because it's like...
Well, no, there's not much stock on it, but it's an important race for him because it's his home race.
No, but what I mean is as far as Haas keeping him, because it's in the same way as in a season with Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton in,
Mm-hmm.
At Silverstone, Palmer meant fuck all. And I think that, there's a Perez doing well. I don't think it fucking matters what nationality Gutierrez is.
He's just the other guy.
Yeah, the other Mexican.
He's just Johnny Herbert.
No, but I mean, it's important. When I say it's important, I mean it's important for him in that he's going to get into race in front of his home crowd. I mean, it was at the Mexican Grand Prix last year where Haas announced that they signed Esteban Gutierrez for this year.
Yeah.
This year they're going to announce that they've sacked him.
That would be pretty harsh, wouldn't it? But that would be the way the sport goes sometimes. I think Gutierrez will outperform Grosjean in America, even though Grosjean was sort of taken into the hearts of the American fans very early on because of those 2 points finishes and being on the team radio straight after was like, this is the dream, this is what we've been working for.
Grosjean, these few times recently where he's been outperformed by Gutierrez, he's had no breaks. He's had some awful...
So he should have gone faster.
Yeah, but he's had awful technical problems lately. And the last 2 races, his brakes have failed on him.
Yeah, the last 2 races, the brakes have failed on him.
Yeah,
but the Mercedes can get on the radio and tell their drivers to manage the brakes easy enough.
No.
Why can't Haas do it to them?
It was a failure. As in,
it wasn't you're cooking your brakes.
Yeah.
This was
your brakes have just exploded.
Yeah. There's
Fair enough.
Yeah, there's a fuse blown. It's taken the brake discs with it.
Grosjean's a much better driver than
he is.
Gutierrez.
But when Grosjean's got no head and Gutierrez is level-headed, then Gutierrez beats Grosjean.
Yeah, but that's because Grosjean's crashed. It doesn't mean Gutierrez is fast.
But Gutierrez was ahead of Grosjean when Grosjean's brakes exploded in Malaysia. I'm sure he was.
But he was having brake problems.
Yeah.
So I think if in a car that worked, I think he'd have been ahead of him.
But I think even before he had the brake problems, Gutierrez was being ahead of him.
Yeah, but it's not like... I mean, there was an interview with him where he was saying, like, you see, when you have a problem... Because this has been a reoccurring problem now for
I'm not saying Gutierrez is a good driver. I'm just saying recently he's been better than Grosjean.
But what because don't forget, Grosjean actually called the car dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And like, can you imagine?
Well, he's done worse than that. Cause he said, what was it, 2 weeks ago? He said it was the worst car he'd ever driven.
That was more than a couple of weeks ago. But the thing is, if you think that any minute your brakes can fail, and actually just fail, not just overheat, then how can you drive properly? And I think that's what's happened to Grosjean.
Possibly.
I think Grosjean's got no faith in the car.
Yeah, I hadn't considered that point, but that's
hadn't
fair.
considered the fact that the Frenchman might have human feelings.
It's going to be Gutierrez for me this weekend.
Yeah,
Gutierrez and scoring points.
Do you reckon?
Fuck off!
I'm going for the bold prediction here.
Whoa! We haven't even told people to use the hashtag yet, and you've already kicked it off.
I don't think it's impossible, to be honest with you. Double points finish possible for Haas. I think in they say that a home crowd gives you an extra 2 or 3 tenths lap.
And if there's one race where they're going to have designed the car around winning on that circuit, or not winning on that circuit, but
winning their own battle on that circuit.
but
being the
designed the
winningest
car
team.
around that circuit,
Yeah.
it's going to be.
Yeah,
gonna be
they want to
circuit
do well in front of
Americas.
their. It's a very important thing for American sports in general that or American sportsmen and women to do well in front of their home crowds. And this being a very global sport going to the US, they really want to make a statement. So I think a double points finish is on the cards for them.
I think Grosjean will be embraced by the local fans.
Yeah.
I think he'll be feeling pretty special amongst the team.
Well, he's been taken, as I said before, he's been taken in by the Americans because the point scoring early on in the season. So
Yeah, unlike Haas, which were taken in by
Gutierrez.
Gutierrez.
yeah, I can drive.
No, you get one free with every 2 Ferrari engines.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. Sauber sent theirs back.
You shake the box. he was in the bottom of the Ferrari box in like a clear cellophane packet.
Yeah, that's the one. If you keep him in the packaging, you can sell him in about 10 years for twice the normal amount.
Grow your own Gutierrez.
Oh god, Toro Rosso.
Does not come with points.
Toro Rosso will move
Struggling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good aero packages. We've already we say pretty
yeah,
much
they'll,
every.
they'll be great on the curbs and lousy on the straights.
Yeah. Well, no, they'll be. It's
Kind of the anti-manner.
Well, it's quite a power hungry circuit, isn't it? But it's you're on the throttle a lot.
They were
round
fucked in
circuit
Spa,
Americans.
weren't they?
Yeah.
Very similar circuit to Spa.
Yeah, but heavy braking and then lots of acceleration. It's not going to suit Toro Rosso well.
I think you can just say that now about 2016.
In general.
It's
Just
not
the
gonna
rest of the
suit
season.
Yeah,
Toro
I
Rosso
can't think
very
of a
well.
circuit where it's going to be Interlagos, perhaps, possibly.
You need a good fucking horse to boot you up that hill, though, don't you?
If it's you can
And,
combat that.
and
with-
theirs just isn't prancing enough.
Yeah, and I don't even just mean that hill, because realistically, from a certain point, that whole circuit is a climb, then, isn't it, up to the start finish?
yeah.
Yeah, you bet.
Well, the whole circuit can't be.
Oh, it is. No, it is. It's magic.
It's a spiral circuit.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Well,
magic.
Interlagos, designed by MC Escher.
Bearing in mind, with the roadworks going on in the Isle of Man at the moment, there is technically a one-way system somewhere in Douglas where if you get in, you cannot get out.
Brilliant.
Isn't that Leeds?
Yes.
And Manchester.
Well, Leeds until the council get bored and change the direction of the roads without any warning, because they've done that before.
Nice.
Although I still think the best one is when they redesigned the town centre in Halifax, where I used to live, and they thought, we'll signpost it all and we'll put it all into quarters, and they made 5 of them.
5 quarters.
5 quarters.
Yeah. Well done.
That sounds like some sort of thing involving your American peanut hugging game.
The 5th quarter.
Yeah.
We're into the 5th quarter now.
That's called overtime. But going back to Toro Rosso, we've seen Kvyat improving since the break.
Freeform Kvyat, Toro Rosso appear to have let him be after putting their arm around him and being like, "Come on, Danny, cheer up a bit." And now he's cheered up. They seem to just they've let him be, and he's.
Well, they took the hands off his throat and put their arm around his shoulder.
No, they haven't done that. They've taken their arm off him completely, been like, "Just do what you got to do, Danny," and he's responded. Although I still think Carlos Sainz is the better driver out of the two of them.
Oh, Carlos Sainz is a much better driver out of the two of them. I still think the only reason he'll keep his seat next year is because
Gasly's not good enough.
they haven't got anyone ready. Yeah, I mean, Gasly might be good enough, but maybe...
Well, they've pumped too. We've talked about this before. They pumped too much young blood through that Toro Rosso Red Bull machine, and they've now got no one in the young driver program because they pushed everybody through too quickly.
pumping young blood through it. They're basically making black pudding.
No, they're not leaving it long enough to congeal to make the black pudding.
So if they're not leaving it long enough, that's the difference between, say, a bottle of whiskey and a bottle of Bell's.
But there you go.
Every drop's been matured for at least 15 minutes. Kvyat has actually made a complete dick of himself this week, or the end of last week.
Has he?
Yeah. He currently feels he's outperforming his car.
Kvyat?
I think that's probably fair.
I would say that's fair for both drivers.
With the regard that he's held in the team, I just think it's a bit of a bold statement to make. You know, the car's crap and I'm really good. P.S. Here's my signature. If you want it on the contract next season.
I think if they weren't, Toro Rosso being quite open about how the car is not so great now. You know what I mean? I think Haas is a different story because they're not coming out and saying our car's fucking terrible and the brakes keep exploding. Yeah. But Toro Rosso being quite honest about it.
Yeah. And the Toro Rosso has gone from finishing in the points to being way down near the back of the field.
16th,
yeah. And that's not just Kvyat, that's Sainz as well.
Yeah. Sainz, I think it was like 17th in Japan or something like that.
Isn't it amazing though when you consider that the car's obviously quite a good car? Isn't it amazing the difference that the engine upgrades have made to the other teams?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You wouldn't think that would be so massive when you consider it's not like they've run out of money. They're still upgrading the car, but that one component that isn't getting upgraded has fucked them.
Yeah.
Though to be fair, the engine is quite an important part of cars.
Otherwise,
they're just
Formula
It's
rig.
up there with cup holders. It's cup holders and the lights for the vanity mirrors.
And
go faster stripes.
And the little tags that you get on the top of the back seat where you fold it down.
Yeah.
Because they're dead important.
Yeah, they are.
Because the back seats in our car fold down easier once I removed the tags. Because the first time I tried to fold the back seat down by pulling the tag came off in my hand.
Well, there you go.
Insert tumbleweed here.
Dead air.
Yeah.
Back to Formula One.
Back to Formula
So
One. Back to
I don't
Toro
think
Rosso.
we're going to see Toro Rosso doing as badly as they've done in the last couple of races. I don't think they're going to do well.
Do you think they'll score points?
I think they'll be behind Haas and with, amongst the Renaults, probably with.
I think you could be looking at 12th, 13th, that sort of area.
Yeah.
I reckon we'll see them
bothering the Renaults.
Possibly.
Yeah.
We'll see them comfortable in Q2.
Yeah.
And
that's as far as they'll go.
Yeah. And maybe one of them could sneak into the points if there's a
rain
pile-up.
comes.
I think it only takes, like, Verlaine's been quite good at pumping a lap in, hasn't he? Now, in qualifying, regardless of whether the car can do it. So it only takes him to pump a decent lap in to lose a Toro Rosso, doesn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Possibly, yeah.
Also, just talking about massive pile-ups as well, don't forget Circuit of the Americas has that weird sort of reverse La Source hairpin as a turn one that's uphill and blind, essentially.
Uphill, blind and left instead of downhill, blind and right.
Well, it's not really blind, is it, La Source? You sort of see the corner coming at you when turning into it. In Circuit of the Americas, as we know from playing the Formula One game on the PlayStation, which makes
we're all experts now.
We're all experts.
Oh,
you can't see the corner when you're turning into it.
For some reason, when you said uphill, blind and right, all I could think of was Donald Trump.
Wow.
No, he's over the hill.
But not far away, unfortunately.
No.
So
he's just small.
Yeah.
That's his hands.
Are they not just far away?
No, they're not. There's a potential though for a massive collision in that first corner, which I don't think we've seen. We saw a little bit of Hamilton-Rosberg tussling last year, but I don't remember there being a Formula One Grand Prix since they started going there in 2012, where there's been a huge accident at the first corner. Given that it's so tight, I mean, there's a wide runoff area.
It's because it's so slow. That's why. It's a really slow corner.
Yeah,
so it's
I know
not.
what you mean.
Yeah, I think if it was a bit quicker.
Yeah.
To have a big crash on that corner, you need somebody at the back. I think Grosjean would be a fine candidate
with his brake failures.
But coming in a fucking day late and $1 short and locking all the wheels up and careering into the back of probably Jenson Button, because that's how fucking world works.
I mean, given the number of times that Maldonado's raced there, we didn't see that with him.
Yeah. Might see Maldonado there this weekend though.
He's good at turning up at places and saying, hello, I still exist.
He hangs around in America a lot at the moment, which might mean he's getting an IndyCar seat, but I don't know.
Well, he turned up at an IndyCar race saying he wants an IndyCar seat, and all the team owners went, no, can't afford it.
Yeah, fair enough.
We've already got Max Chilton.
Yeah, they all had the shutters down, and on the shutters there was like
we're not home.
Gone fishing back at 2.
It was like a fake garage. Just an empty garage. No, it's that Indianapolis way, bastard. Down there you need to go.
Yeah, but he tried ram raiding them.
And then he walked out, and all you hear was home, and he's walking off down the road. Go, why nobody like pasta?
Is he Italian?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Saints or Kvyat for this weekend?
Saints.
Kvyat.
Science.
I'm going Kvyat.
Split decision
Split
in the
decision?
3 Legs 4 Wheels podcast room.
By 3 legs 4 wheels rules, this has to end in a fight.
It's all right. We'll quietly down now because it's McLaren next.
Oh.
You've gone quiet.
Was it Fernando who got a 5th place finish last year?
Yep.
Which wasn't a terrible result by any stretch of the imagination. It was completely unexpected, helped by the fact that the rain had washed all the grip away that the cars had been laying down for the whole weekend, and then they had the Sunday quali and the just before the race, which Fernando is accustomed to. It's happened a couple of times. You know, he's seen everything. He's been in Formula One that long. He even saw Stirling Moss not win a championship. He's been around for that long. But he nothing tends to faze Fernando Alonso apart from having a GP2 engine in your car.
I don't know. Grosjean phased him.
Grosjean nearly killed him. But yeah, it's Alonso's seen it all, done it all, and
Sat down in a deck chair whilst wearing the t-shirt.
exactly, yeah, he's even done that. He made the most of what happened in Austin last year and did very well to bring the car home in 5th. I don't expect a repeat performance this year, unless, again, as I said with Sauber, unless the rain gods pay them a visit and equalise everything.
Yeah, I mean, McLaren were absolutely terrible in Japan.
Yes, they were.
That is the only way to describe it.
But they'd been terrible the year before in Japan, if I remember right.
Yeah, they were, weren't they? I think Lee's doing something here.
Lee's, yes.
I turned the word new into a little Formula One car.
Oh, yes, so you did.
What were we talking about?
Formula One.
Formula One. Yeah, and McLaren. They both got the lighter but not more powerful engine in there now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, scientifically,
It's like Apple are making their fucking engines, isn't it?
Yeah, it's new,
Careful
it's smaller,
now.
it's not more powerful. It doesn't work.
It's already started.
It has, hasn't it?
It has.
It'll be fucking silver, or it'll be available in silver, space grey, and rose gold next.
Yeah, it will be. And you can customise your colour of apple.
And if you want it in matte black, it costs $100 more.
Why?
No idea.
Poor Matt.
More expensive paint.
Fucking more gullible bellends.
There goes any chance of sponsorship from Apple that we didn't want anyway.
I don't think we had any chance of sponsorship from Apple. We Google. Google are much more fresh and funky.
Yeah, but McLaren are making...
Is that spelt with F's or PHs?
I don't know, but the fat's PH.
Oh, right, okay.
McLaren are making their engine lighter, which apparently produces more power, but scientifically that's not faster, even though scientifically it is faster. I don't understand what they're trying to say.
Question.
If you open the box and the engine's either in there or not in there,
Yeah.
does that make it Schrodinger's car?
I don't know.
Right. Question. Tell me what you think about this. If
Go on, go on them day ones.
Awesome reference, Lee. Very good.
If McLaren don't get 5th this weekend, on merit like they did last year,
Yeah.
does that mean that all of a sudden McLaren are in a worse place this year now at this point of the season than they were last year?
Alf Garnett.
What?
Alf Garnett.
Who's that?
I'll play you the video.
Yeah, you need to see the video. But no, I don't think it means they've had a worse season. I think what you have to do is
No. Are they in a worse position?
Oh, worse
right
position
now going into next year if this run of form continues, because I think something has happened to that car
to make it shit.
That's they've either how we always talk about like the development trees, avenues, roads. Something development-wise, I think, I might be proved wrong. I hope I am proved wrong, really. But something has happened on that car, I think, that's fucked it. And all the hard work they were doing, I think it's a case of they've chased so much to try and pull performance where they can't pull it from because the engine's letting them down, that it's had a detrimental effect to the whole car.
They've overdeveloped too many bits, and they don't know where the weakest bit is.
You know, like when you're playing F1 2016 on the PlayStation, and then you go and tweak your setup a bit, and you think, oh, that's good, and then you go and tweak something else, and you think, awesome, and you go and tweak something else, and you go, oh, that hasn't worked, and you go and untweak that last tweaker, but it still hasn't fixed it. McLaren.
Yeah,
but I might be being naive here, but can't they just go back to their saved settings from when they were starting to look good?
They probably don't have the parts now. If they've
Well,
gone
they can
down
build the
this way,
parts.
well, maybe. But
they're going to have records of exactly what they did and exactly what they put on the cars. I would imagine.
We'll see.
If Ron wants to call and correct me on that, then
Ron's give them 5 out of 10 for this year, apparently. If he had to score them,
I think that's about right.
I think it's
That's fair, I think.
And
you can't not be in with a sniff of the championship and say, yeah, we're 10 out of 10.
And strangely, that Honda also turned around and said that they're 50% behind on what their development, what development they had in mind.
That's Honda themselves have said that.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of everybody has, I won't say got it wrong, but just not got it right.
You know when everybody turns up to work with a hangover?
Yeah.
That's that McLaren for the past 2 years.
It's been the day after their Christmas party.
For 2 years.
Yeah.
Since 2015.
It's been Fernando for the last 5 years.
Yeah, it has. It's been Fernando since Vitaly Petrov.
So, who do we think is going to do the best out of the McLarens and make the best out of a bad situation?
Sorry,
or
Lee.
possibly bad situation?
Fernando.
Yeah, it depends who gets the fucking penalties. Who knows?
And how much comedy button we hear over the team radio. Jensen can string it together when it all works for him, and he can match Fernando on any given day. But I think Fernando's got the upper hand in these closing races of the season.
I'm going to say Jensen. Always believe.
I'm torn because it just depends which Fernando turns up. It's the
you could have Fernando's luck turning up as well, and Fernando gets on the start line, third on the grid, and then his engine goes bang.
Yeah.
So Fernando's luck could strike.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, look at the last race. Jensen had mechanical problems, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And the one before, and then Fernando had them before that. So it's the one will do better, which doesn't get fucked over by the car.
Which is a sorry state of affairs.
If they just stop refueling the car after midnight.
Yeah. In fact, it shows something, actually. It shows how fucked the car is.
So they get the car wet after midnight, or just at any point?
I don't know. Well,
yeah, don't race it in daylight, don't race it in the wet, and don't fuel it after midnight.
The last thing you need is fucking more of them. But fuck, I've lost my train of thought now. Is that what Toro Rosso and Red Bull did? Did they get the car wet and they ended up with Toro Rosso?
Yeah, well, Fernando fell in a swimming pool and Stoffel popped out. I've completely killed that one now, haven't I? You just lost it.
Like that. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. It was definitely McLaren based. It was good as well. Hang on. Shit! Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Considering how, like, when you see qualifying, how sort of, even if Alonso's been beaten, button, it's only been by a small margin, you know, and they've been pretty well matched all through the year. It shows it's only the car that keeps fucking one over every race, because we never see them fighting with each other on track.
No,
very rarely.
We saw that in Italy, didn't we?
Yeah.
But they were on completely different tyre strategies when Button passed Alonso.
But realistically, if that car was right for both of them every weekend, we should see a Button and a Fernando on track together nearly every weekend.
Yeah. I think their problem is that they split strategies too often as well. But the possibility is there, I think, for McLaren to put one of those cars, and I'd say Fernando Alonso,
in points
into Q3.
But yeah, maybe,
and in the points.
I think you'll see probably Jensen, given how qualifying's gone for him. I think you'll see one, if not both, cars go out in Q1, and I think Fernando will go out in Q2.
I think they are going to be a lot closer on track because they have gone for identical tyre strategies for the weekend. They're both on 3 mediums, 4 softs, and 6 supers. So unless something goes wrong in practice, I think we'll be seeing a fairly similar tyre strategy for the pair of them in the race.
It's just what position they'll be in.
It's just what position they'll be in, 14th and 16th.
I don't think you won't see points from them. I don't think.
I think one of the cars could score points.
Bosch can get double podium now.
Yeah, I'm not convinced, but I think Alonso's going to do better.
Yeah, I think Alonso will do better, but
I can just see Alonso scrapping with the Williamses. Put it that way.
I think Williams will be well down the road.
Yeah.
Well, we've got Williams next, actually.
Sorry, just quickly, because we think about it. I know that Japan's like a power circuit,
but Austin's
it's
fairly powerful too.
Yeah, but it's also one that's supposed to suit a really good chassis, as in why Red Bull did so well. So where's this fucking good chassis all of a sudden for McLaren?
Have McLaren been lying the whole time? And the chassis is not as good as they said it is, and part of the problem is actually McLaren as well as Honda.
We've suspected this a few times this season, and
we have.
We could be proved completely right or completely wrong.
2 years now we've been waiting for the McLaren performance, haven't we? So
we've been waiting 2 years, and then maybe 2 will turn up. Williams then.
I reckon they'll be towards the back of the points, but in the points.
I think so.
Point scorers.
Yeah, I mean,
hanging on to the Force Indias, won't they?
They've got no choice.
Yeah, beaten by them, but you know they'll be able to see them.
Yeah, Williams 10 points behind Force India now. Not what they wanted. Another team which may be losing both drivers. Because
Massa's retiring.
And Bottas has apparently been in talks with Renault.
Yeah, but there's various silly season permutations to talk about.
I'm not sure there's many drivers who haven't been in talks with Renault.
I've been in talks with Renault. I've got previous history with them, you see, because of my van.
Yeah.
It's a hard one to call for Williams over who's going to do better, because Massa seems a lot more relaxed now that he said he's going.
Yeah, relaxed and a bit slower, but then we said that.
The last thing you need is a slow Massa.
Well, the last...
I don't know, Ferrari made use of a slow Massa quite a few times coming up to the end of the race.
Yeah, we said...
All those brake problems that he used to have.
Yeah, we said that we expected Massa to just cruise to the end of the season, but he actually puts in a bit of a fight, and I just think perhaps it was a little bit unfair of us to say that he's just waiting for his paycheck and then he's off. See you later. But he's trying to have fun, I think, more than anything in his last few races in Formula 1. So
he's not.
Out of the two of them, Bottas I think is the better driver, but who's going to perform better at the weekend? Hard to say, but I'll stick with Valtteri Bottas. But given that Williams' development has been poor this year, they could find themselves being quite equal in these last few races, and Massa being Massa, having fun, is not going to be too unafraid to even though they're fighting for Force India for fourth, to pull a fun move here and there just because he's having fun.
Yeah, of course Bottas has got quite a lot of pressure on him now, not having a confirmed drive for next year. So we don't know where.
I think he hasn't. He hasn't because I think Williams want to keep him. So I think he's got a drive there if he wants it.
It's how much he wants it is the question. I mean, Williams are going to want somebody with experience next season because various publications are actually saying today.
For what part of the team do they need someone with experience?
I'll come to that. Lance Stroll has been more or less confirmed according to multiple authoritative media sources, and that is a press release that's just...
The Daily Mail?
No. No, it's a reputable
Oh.
source that's just come through now. I'm just waiting for Auto Motor Runch Sport to say something about it.
Yeah, because as soon as they say it,
because we believe them.
Yeah, as soon as they say it, it's as good as done, isn't it?
The gospel
Lan-
according to.
Yeah, I mean, if Williams were to change both drivers, I mean, obviously they're losing Massa through retirement, Bottas possibly through going to another team. That could be quite dangerous for them, switching both drivers in a time where
Where the whole
The whole team's in flux. However, I've got a quote from Mika Salo here.
Mika Salo, what's he
That's
got
a
to do
name
with
we've not heard
Williams?
in a long
Yeah.
time.
It's difficult to talk about Valtteri's situation.
Oh, is he his manager? Being
Um,
finishing that?
I don't know. I think they've just found somebody finish, and Keke Rosberg wasn't available, and Nico. Well, no.
Doesn't Hakkinen manage him?
Hakkinen? Don't think so.
No.
No,
Hakkinen's a Mercedes ambassador.
I'm sure Hakkinen's got something to do with him.
But Salo goes on to say Lance Stroll will be there, and Williams would probably like to keep Valtteri, but Lance's father, Lawrence Stroll, has bought half of the team, so it may be him who chooses who's in the other car.
What?
Really?
He's bought half of Williams.
This is according to Mika Salo.
How long ago? Today?
Today.
Oh,
5 minutes.
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, some news is actually breaking while we're recording.
This is brilliant. This normally happens the day after.
Yeah.
So does that mean that, because obviously they're a publicly traded company, doesn't it? So is he just gone and bought a load of shares?
Um,
No, because Williams PLC is different to Williams Formula One team.
Williams Formula One is a wholly owned subsidiary of Williams Automotive Engineering,
Right.
PLC.
Yeah.
So Williams can choose to sell off bits of things that they own.
Right, okay.
And according to Salo, yeah, Lawrence Stroll,
Tommy Hilfiger.
Tommy
man.
Hilfiger man. So we know we know who's going to be providing the team uniforms next season.
I know, yeah. Ferrari will have to go and find themselves another tailor.
Yeah. So yeah, it would appear, according to Mika Salo anyway, that Lawrence Stroll has bought half the team.
So hence Lance is in the team.
Lance looks like he's going to be in.
Wait, so I tell you what, if someone's to be a Formula
No,
One
that's
driver,
dangerous because if Lance Stroll turns out to be shit, they can't get rid of him.
Ericsson.
This is. I don't like the way this is going with the sport.
Have Williams just sobered themselves?
Possibly.
it's also coming from Mika Salo.
I mean, I don't know if he's like current Finnish renter quota or something, but
Maybe he's just bored. We did say we hadn't heard from him for a while. Maybe he's just like, you know what, I haven't done for a while. Formula One. Guys, I'm bored. Williams are doing things, and this guy's bought the team.
Lance Armstrong's bought Ferrari.
Lance Armstrong.
Do you remember in Father Ted where the TV interviewer is speaking to Father Dougal, and
He's just wide-eyed and smiling.
well, and talking about how the Catholic Church isn't really sure about this Jesus thing.
Yeah.
we've had real news. We're actually stunned. So who's gonna do the better?
Valtteri.
I will say Valtteri as well. But I think it's going to be quite close.
Valtteri and Massa will crash. He will not finish the race.
Valtteri.
I think it's going to be Bottas. He will suffer least from the potential Smedleying. Talking of which, I think Rob Smedley wrote the instructions on the limited edition Williams deodorant because it said spray on your feet before a shower.
Oh dear.
Do you understand?
Confirm you understand.
Force India then.
Perez,
Perez
the outgoing Hulkenberg.
Perez for me because Hulkenberg's not going to give a flying fin.
No, I think he is. I think he's going to push. He's going to push because he wants to prove to Renault that he can push a team when they need to be pushed. I can't say push many more times in this pushing sentence. But Force India want that fourth place consolidated, and Nico Hulkenberg wants to be a part of that.
Yeah.
He'll do everything in his power that he can in order to make sure that happens.
Fred Vasseur from Renault has described Nico Hulkenberg as a leader and a motivator.
Mr. Motivator.
I'm happy for him. We'll talk about where the drivers are going later anyway.
I think Perez, if I recall, was pretty useful in Austin last year.
He's been pretty useful everywhere,
And
really.
he's having a good season. I just get the feeling that Perez is going to do the better out of the pair of them.
Yeah, I know. I think so. He seems to have the number on Hülkenberg, in that car.
And it did seem that, again, we'll talk about driver market in a minute, but it did seem that Renault tried for Perez before they tried for Hülkenberg.
See, I've got a thing about this. I think Hülkenberg is pound for pound a better driver than Perez.
I think Perez is a better Force India driver than Hulk is.
Because I think Perez is getting he's getting the points and he's getting the results, not because he's a really fast racing driver, but because he's working the strategy really well. Whereas I think if you had a race-winning car, that you could just jump in and fucking race to try and get a position, I think Hülkenberg would win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean with that. Perez's strengths are keeping the tyres for those extra few laps.
He's good at work. He's good at driving to a delta, essentially. That's the thing.
Not being too heavy on fuel use.
Yeah.
Efficient lifting and coasting.
Mm-hmm.
God, put an end to that.
He's really, really fast at being slow.
Yeah, that's the best. Yeah, that's the best way.
And don't take this the wrong way, Jenson Button.
Yeah.
Really fast at being slow when he needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, doesn't bring everything out of the car. Just has a level all the way through.
Yeah.
I suppose it's the secret of being a good racing driver as well. To go against what I've just said, that you can go and set a fastest lap, but if you can set a lap which is half a second slower than the fastest lap and do it 72 times, you're going to end up with a good position.
Yeah. Because it's not the fastest driver that wins anymore. It's the steadiest driver.
Yeah.
To finish first you must be boring.
Let's not damage the sport here, Lee.
No, we spend enough time trying to fix it. Don't break it again for us to have to rebuild it. I reckon double points for Force India this weekend.
Oh yeah, I think double points finish for Force India is well on the cards.
Now this will be at the expense of something from Williams or something from Haas.
It's probably something from
Williams.
Haas. Ooh. Split decision, Williams or Haas.
I think
Haas will be buoyed by the home crowd, but if that, I don't know if that'll be enough to carry them over Williams.
I think Haas are more likely to have a retirement.
Yeah.
No, Massa's retiring.
Yeah, but not before the end of the race, unless he does.
Could have fooled me.
Don't forget, Damon Hill once tried to retire in the middle of the British Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Through Schumacher. Was that year?
No. He was on the team radio saying he had enough of this. I had enough of this. I'm going to pull in. This is boring.
Oh, was that Jordan?
Yeah. Right, Ferrari. Whose head is going to be most on the chopping block this week?
Sebastian Vettel's again.
Well, they're blaming him for all the problems.
Which is starting to weigh heavy on his shoulders.
Ridiculous.
And happy Seb has become miserable Seb. He's become 2014 Red Bull Seb again, where he's moody and
It doesn't take long for it to change, does it?
No, I mean, he was quite content when he was the underdog against the Mercedes, but now he's the underdog behind the Red Bulls and the Mercedes. He's not a happy chappy.
It's a fucking shame for him that Schumacher's in the bin, because I think it would have done him really well right now to have a Ferrari legend
on his shoulder,
backing him up.
Yeah.
He could give Eddie Irvine a ring.
I see Rubens Barrichello.
Want to buy a house?
I see Rubens Barrichello walking around the grid every now and again for Brazilian TV.
And Felipe's still kicking about somewhere.
John Surtees makes sense sometimes.
Really?
Sometimes. He won a world championship in a Ferrari. And then you got Kimi.
Niki Lauda.
He's kind of employed by someone else at the moment.
I'm sure he'd help Ferrari out anytime.
Yeah.
Say the word. But no, Vettel is under pressure from two things. It seems to be himself and from Arriva Bene.
Well, I think he's under
And
pressure
he's
from Ferrari.
5 points behind his teammate.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kimi is...
And Vettel's supposed to be the number one driver.
Yeah, supposed to be. Kimi's been putting in the more solid performances across the season. And even though we heard the Blue Flag song from both of them in Japan, Kimi's kept his head, as you'd expect him to, a lot better than Sebastian has, and just made the car work for him.
Well, let's not forget, it's probably what he's doing against Vettel, 4 times world champion Vettel. It's probably buoyed Kimi, a little bit. He's probably walking around like he's got an extra inch on his cock. Kimi,
But you wouldn't be able to tell because it's Kimi Räikkönen.
Well, he's the Iceman, so everything's frozen off, hasn't it?
Yeah, everything's always shorter.
Iceman long? No.
No.
Jesus.
What was it? Kimi Räikkönen said that Formula 1 would be great if it wasn't for the media.
Yeah. One thing I found out about Arriva Bene this week was his history. He's not from a racing background. He's a salesman.
Yeah.
He
was moved in from the Fiat group, wasn't he, rather than from
Marlboro.
Marlboro, was it?
Marlboro.
Mm-hmm. I knew that.
He was Philip Morris's rep to Ferrari when Marlboro used to be plastered all over the cars. And Luca de Montezemolo took him on, and then when Marchione pushed de Montezemolo out, he gave him the top job at Ferrari.
I think he was sort of given Ferrari to hold, essentially, wasn't he? Because I don't think he was ever the right man for it. He was just the closest one.
It wasn't Mr. Right, it was Mr. Right now.
Yeah. Well, let's face it. Last year, you've got to say that whatever Ferrari did was the knock-on effect of Arriva Bene, not Arriva Bene, Domenicali. So this year it is the first Ferrari under Arriva Bene watch, and it's fucked.
Yeah, there needs to be a severe improvement in morale, performance, everything basically across the board. Ferrari need to improve.
I mean, the crazy thing is the car doesn't seem to be that bad.
No, we've said it before. If you give Mercedes a 10 out of 10 across the board for everything this season, you could probably give Ferrari a 7 out of 10 across everything. It's just that they're that much further back on everything. There's not one thing that they do better than Mercedes.
And we've said it before, the Red Bull is far more variable, which means that
there are times when it's a lot quicker.
Yeah.
I think the problem is the fact that the car, you're right, the car is a 7 if we're scoring the car, but the team's a 2.
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it before, Ferrari are heading rapidly back to the days of Alesi and Berger, where they just had to completely wipe the slate clean, write off 2 years worth of championships, and then come back with everything brand new.
But the thing is,
from the guy who fills in the paperwork to order the wheel nuts upwards.
Yeah, well, let's think about it then, right? When you've got who were the top teams when Alesi and Berger were in the Ferrari? Williams,
McLaren,
Benetton, McLaren,
yeah.
So we'll just take those, as being your top 3 cars that were trying to win races and put podiums and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't believe that they had the allure back then that Ferrari had. To get Ross Brawn involved and stuff, to get the people in. I think teams now like Mercedes,
Tyrrell,
like Mercedes and like Red Bull,
Stewart,
to a certain extent, like a Renault team, if it can be managed properly, I don't think Ferrari have got the same pull to pull the big names in now.
It might be down to the fact that there's more Formula 1 media than there was going back 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But Ferrari didn't seem to be in this much turmoil back then when they hit the reset button.
I think the other thing is that maybe Ferrari were a bit more protected as well back then than they are.
I think they're a bit more laid back and felt less entitled to everything.
Now or then?
No, then. The Schumacher era completely destroyed Ferrari. They didn't realise it at the time, but it just did. Everything that's happened since Schumacher left Ferrari has been sort of in a slow decline.
Is it because...
No, I think they did feel entitled to things, to be winning. And
it's Ferrari. It's the Ferrari attitude. We're only in this to win.
I think the difference was they were given more. They were given more back then.
Well, what they did was they said, we need to fix things to go back to the top, not
everyone else fix things for us.
Yeah, not this case of Well, the only problem is we've got Sebastian Vettel. We should have a different driver. They said no. We've got deep structural problems. Let's bring in Benetton because they're doing quite well.
Yeah.
But like John Todd, he would have been. Was he head of Ferrari at Lacey Berger time?
I think he'd just taken
He
over
just
round
took
about that
over.
time, and it was him that brought in.
Yeah,
dream
so
team.
that's what you're missing now. You're missing a person with foresight.
And that's something that Arriva Bene doesn't have
Yeah.
as team principal. Because, let's just bring it down to the raw facts. He is a salesman, therefore all he wants is results.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants a tick in the win column.
Yeah, and I see, and I suppose that's the other thing.
But it's got to be immediate.
But it's not marketing. Whereas I'd imagine in marketing, if you want to sell a product, the best thing you can do is throw money at the product to get that product everywhere, and that will make you sell more stuff. And just merely throwing money at what's already there isn't going to get Ferrari out. They need to throw money outside of Ferrari.
I think the main thing is you've got to have a product that works and doesn't have a completely crippled reputation, because it's been crippled by the people that are making the product.
I think when Red Bull bought Adrian Newey, I could remember because there was I think was it 2015, 14. 13, 14, I think.
When he had that golden handcuffs deal done.
Yeah, but at that point, apparently there was a verge of a deal being made where they were going to take Sebastian Vettel, Adrian Newey, and Christian Horner, and they were just going to do a smash and grab on Red Bull,
Like they did with Benetton.
Yeah. And it was only because it was. It was Christian Horner that was talking about it. He said, he said there was things put there for us to go there, and you've got to think that since then everything has been fucked. Joe, since then it's almost like there was literally no backup plan.
No.
For whatever for
So
them
they got the
saying
cigarette
no.
man in instead of getting Christian Horner
Yeah.
into anything. They got, well, this guy sells cigarettes to us for years. Let's or sell cigarette advertising to us for years. Let's get this man in.
But remember,
We know this guy.
when they first brought Arriva Bene in as team principal,
He was
it
good
looked
move.
like he had turned the team around,
It was a
because
good
it
moral-
went from them not doing particularly
Yeah.
well to them winning races.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a good
in
moral
a few races
move.
time. Yeah,
But it wasn't a good moral move. It was good morale.
Yeah.
There we go.
But I think the problem was now with the pleasure of hindsight of looking at it, whereas we thought he'd come in and turn the team around, he was essentially just reaping the benefits of what Arriva Bene
Dominicali had done.
had installed. So, I mean, when you think about it, it was Dominicali that got Ellison in, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
But it was Arriva Bene that got rid of him.
Yes.
So who's going to do we say better or least disappointingly?
I think this is going to be a Vettel race.
I think it'll be. I say with everything we just said, I also think it'll be a Ferrari circuit, and I think they'll do quite well there.
Yeah, they've got problems, but on track they can pull performances out of the bag when they need to.
Just depends how many back markers they've got in front of them.
Blue flags, blue flags, blue flags.
Kimmy's rapid around here though. Remember him?
Yeah.
Did he win? Did he win in the Lotus? He won the first race, didn't he?
I don't know. I think Lewis won the first race in 2012 or 2011.
Maybe
I
it
can't
wasn't the
remember.
first one, but I'm sure Kimmy won the race.
Kimmy might have won with Lotus here. I don't
Lotus.
think that's. I think Paul's just doing a quick check for
I'm
us on the
looking-
history of this.
No, he's not. He's just remembering.
No, he's remembering with his computer brain.
No,
Yes, he is.
Yes,
Let's
I-
not-
yeah,
'cause
I-
you can hear on the microphone when he's typing.
Yeah,
things.
I'm actually typing right under a live microphone. It doesn't work like
No.
that.
Unless you type into your brain. That Apple are working on that right now.
It hurts.
Don't-
No, Kimmy hasn't won.
He hasn't
Was
won
he
a
not-
race.
was
Lewis
he
in
second?
Was it 2012 the first year?
2012 was the first one, which Lewis won. And
Then 2013 was Vettel.
Kimi came 6th. 2013. Good God, this computer is so slow. That's probably because we're using it to record. Anyway, Kimi's done quite well before at this circuit, but he's never.
But Vettel's won at
Vettel's
Circuit of
won.
the Americas, yeah. So we know Vettel can do well
In a Red Bull.
in a Red Bull. Tough one. I'm going to say Vettel over Kimi. Again, quite a tight team battle. But I also think the Ferraris will be a bit closer to the Red Bulls than they have been in recent races.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because recent races appear to be like Mercedes, the Red Bull not that far behind, and then Ferrari sort of just drifting back, 10, 13 seconds behind.
Sorry, I said that Kimi's done quite well there before. He hasn't, really. He's 6th in 2012.
Yeah,
Didn't race in 2013 because of back surgery. Nothing
that's
to
when
do.
Kovalainen took over.
Nothing to do with Lotus not paying him because he injured his back. 13th in 2014. Retired last year.
Oh, right.
So he hasn't done well
I
then.
thought
So he's not really done well there at all. I think it's going to be Vettel.
Damn me relying on my real brain instead of a computer brain.
Exactly. Stupid humans.
Yeah, I think we'll
Where's Transcendence when you need it?
get it on Skybox sets, guys. Yeah, it's going to be Vettel's race.
What do we want? Transhumanism.
Possible podium for Sebastian Vettel, Possible.
Yeah, I think that the Red Bulls are going to do too well for
Yeah,
them.
I think Red Bull will have something to say about that.
Yeah, I think so.
Assuming that
I didn't
two
say
McLarens and two Mercedes and two Red Bulls finish.
For all we know, the Force India might have something to say about it as well.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, there is.
I'm just saying I'm not saying probable. I'm saying possible.
You said you guarantee it.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You said
No, you
promise.
listen back, rewind.
No. If we don't have the facilities. If only
No,
we
but the
were.
listeners do.
If only we were recording it. No,
We'll talk about Red Bull instead because we can be more definite on them.
The Max versus Danny battle
Yeah.
continues.
One of them will get on the podium.
Oh, yeah. It seems like a.
That's my not very bold prediction.
Well,
Danny-
Yeah, I think
Danny's
it'll be
done-
Danny Rick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's done strong podium finishes in the last few races. Was it like 5 podiums in the last 7 races or something?
Something like that. He's given himself the kick up the backside that he needed just to stop him being number 2 driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the last thing he wants to be is Webbered.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And it was really looking like he might be at one point.
Yeah.
And he's fought back very well. I wouldn't say he's put Max in his place, but he's proven that he's more than equal to Max, and he can. When the two of them race, it can get quite interesting, as we saw in Malaysia. Some fantastic racing over a few corners, and Danny held on to the position quite well. Given that who's going to do better out of the two of them, I think Max's problem is being inconsistency.
I think Max's problem is race pace as well.
I think he's all right with race pace. I just think
Just
he
over
needs to be more
a load of races though, he just
Yeah.
seems to boil off it.
That's what I mean with the inconsistency. He can be really quick. Other times he's off the boil a bit. But he, I'm going to say Danny Rick over Max Verstappen.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a strong performance from Verstappen.
Has this probably finished 4th in the Toro Rosso a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Last year was it?
I think
last
it was,
year it
yeah.
must
Would
have
have
been,
to been, yeah.
Yeah. He can also take 4th in the Drivers' Championship
From Danny?
from Kimi.
Oh, from Kimi, sorry.
Danny Rick's more or less guaranteed 3rd.
Yeah.
There's 42 points between them.
Yeah.
But Max is in 6th, level on points with Vettel, so only 5 behind Raikkonen.
Wow.
So he's going to want a strong performance.
I tell you what we do really want as well, championship wise, is we could do with 2 Red Bulls on the podium to keep the championship tasty. As long as there's a Lewis win.
Yeah, I was
obviously.
going to say a Lewis win and then 2 Red Bulls.
Yeah.
2 Red Bulls and possibly more between him and Rosberg.
Yeah, that would keep the, as you say, keep the championship interesting, but it's really down to each Mercedes driver, really, and what they do from here on out, and as to whether or not Rosberg avoids any failures towards the end of the year because he has had zero total failures.
Yeah.
Race-ending, session-ending failures.
Crazy when you
But
look.
we're getting ahead of ourselves talking about Mercedes because we were still on Red Bull.
Yeah, and I've already said I think Danny Rick will have the edge over Max Verstappen.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it's Danny Rick for me because he's on stronger form, and this circuit suits him.
Well, Max did get on the podium in the last race, didn't he? So,
But
I haven't said
I don't
that.
know, Danny Rick likes varied circuits,
Yeah.
and this is one where you've got, you're not set up for tight turns all the time and little straights. You've got the long corners, you've got the short, tight, slow ones, you've got the long straights.
Which is why we love the circuit of the Americas so much.
Yeah, we'd love them more if they sent us tickets.
Yeah.
I think there might be a chance of a
Bit
win
late notice.
for Ricardo here. Thinking
Ricardo
about
win?
it. Yeah.
That would spice things up a bit as well. If Red Bull was well amongst the Mercedes.
Do you think it'd be?
Fighting with them on track?
Do you think there's a chance of an outright win, or does it need something to go wrong for the Mercedes?
I think, well, it was only, I was just thinking there about what Ricardo was saying after the last race, that he thinks that Red Bull are in with a shout of winning any of the remaining races. And that, like, with the... I know there's a bit of a power circuit in the Circuit of the Americas, but given all those twisty things, they're going to be so strong in the first sector.
Yeah.
Possibly. It's all going to depend on will a Mercedes get a bad start,
One will get a bad start.
and that will screw up the whole race for the one that does it just because of the first sector, because it's tight and you've got to follow, because there aren't all that many lines through the S's.
No. And if you get one of them wrong,
You get all of them wrong,
I actually think,
and the Mercedes just aren't good at following.
No, I actually think this is the most important race of the championship this year. Oh, sorry, over the, you know where I was going.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah, because it can. If Nico wins this race, I think even if Lewis comes second, it's just another race less, isn't it? You know, it's to
claw the points back.
Yeah.
Was it 33 at the moment?
Pretty
33 at the moment, so
33 with 100 to get, so a Nico win
It would be
Yeah.
40
would
with
be a minimum of
75.
40.
I
Yeah.
genuinely think for Lewis to win this championship, Nico has to either not finish or have a whore bag of a race. This weekend.
which is easy enough if he messes up the start.
Messes up the
Have
start.
we moved on to?
I think
talking
we've
about
kind of
Mercedes?
sort
Yeah,
of
yeah,
gradually sort of oozed
So-
into Mercedes, yeah.
So yeah, messing up the start, easily dropped down to sixth or so.
Yeah.
I've seen that in plenty of races.
Be nice to see him with like a Max Verstappen like in his car, like in the side pod, in Nico's side pod.
Smack.
Yeah.
T1.
Yeah.
So we talked about the crazy driver before. Doesn't necessarily have to be a Grosjean or someone at the back. Could be a Max Verstappen near the front, T-boning a Mercedes.
Going
Or
for,
just
going for a
that-
gap that may or may not be there or was there when I first looked.
Doesn't even need to be Max Verstappen hitting him. It can be an in-off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it's Lewis Hamilton that gets caught up in a first lap incident,
Championship over.
championship over, because
Yeah.
this circuit is going to be so much more difficult for Mercedes to fight back, and because it's not good at following, especially not through the long fast corners. And there is that long straight, but that's one opportunity per lap it's going to get, maybe two. If
It's that long straight, but the problem with the long straight is you've got that big long twisty bend which you would have to follow. Joe before. Oh shit! No, you mean the long straight in the middle, don't you?
Yeah,
I thought
the
you
long-
were about
the
start
long back
finish,
straight, yeah.
because the start finish straight's massive as well, isn't it?
it's quite long, but I think the back straight is the second longest in Formula One, just behind
so.
Abu Dhabi. I think Abu
Yeah.
Dhabi's got the longest straight, and
Azerbaijan.
this is the second. Is that Azerbaijan? Is it?
Azerbaijan's got the longest
Yeah.
straight.
Oh right, okay.
That's, was it 1.5 kilometres?
Good
Something
lord.
like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So
Takes
so
takes them a
Azerbaijan,
week and
Abu
a
Dhabi.
half. Week and a half at 200 mile an hour to get down it.
Yeah.
You can land a 747 on it.
Yeah, the Azerbaijan straight is nearly as long as Monza.
Awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Probably
actually.
isn't. It's just a fact I've made up.
Oh fuck it.
We're so gullible.
It's long anyway. That is the longest straight in Formula One, but The second straight in Austin is one of the longest.
Yeah. I think it's just over a kilometre long.
Yeah, and obviously it's a DRS zone as well.
Yeah.
So
That's the only realistic place
to
for
make
a
you-
following Mercedes
to make use of it, a following Mercedes has to be within a second, but it's whether the Mercedes can be within a second
What I'd like to see,
after the twists.
aside from
Nico
something,
Rosberg exploding.
yes, aside from something that really spices the championship up and maybe closes that gap right down to for the last couple of races, what I'd like to see is Mercedes fighting each other out front. Similar to what we saw
Yes.
Max and Danny doing in Malaysia, side by side for a few corners, and when both drivers are told, or one driver might be told, back off, you're on a different strategy, or back off, Nico gets the first call because he went into the first corner first, so Nico's got the first tyre call. Lewis, you need to back off. I want to hear the drivers telling the team, no, shut up, I'm racing.
I want to hear one of the drivers go, people,
Don't talk
drive.
to me. Yeah.
What?
Don't talk to me in the
Very
corners,
important.
man. I'm switching my radio off.
We've seen so little wheel-to-wheel racing between the Mercedes this year.
And I think we're going to see it, but whether we see it in Austin or not, I don't know.
Actually, just going back to my fact,
Oh, go on.
the
The
straight,
fake fact.
not quite. The
1,091 metres in Austin.
the straight in Azerbaijan
Yeah.
is 1.8 miles. Monza, the whole circuit, is 2.6, so it isn't all that far
It's
off.
not that far off.
So I've done a fake fact that was actually nearly right.
So that means, hang on, that means the straight at Azerbaijan in kilometres is like 2 kilometres long?
2.2.
2.2 kilometres, that's ridiculous.
Huge.
Yeah,
Tell
2.2
you what,
kilometres for one.
You'd feel that if you had to walk that way to your seat.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, 2.2 kilometres, and the whole of the Monza Grand Prix circuit. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. 5.7.
5.7 kilometres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like when you're at Spa and they open the circuit up, so you can get out easier.
Yep.
And where the gate is that we usually come in, which is at the end of the straight at the top of Eau Rouge, where the chicane is.
Yes.
That there's an exit there to get out.
Mhm.
That's usually
That's where the old circuit used to go.
yeah. And it takes you down to the village. So when you're at the bus stop and you walk round down the start finish straight, down the second straight, up Eau Rouge, and walk down that straight to get out.
Do they provide defibrillators along the
I
way?
fucking swear, it's halfway up Eau Rouge. You're like leaving notes for people just in case your body's found.
Pretty desperate then.
Oh, it's crazy. It feels like as far as the eye can see when you're at the top of the fucking hill. 7 days have passed since we first began our mission.
So, getting a good start, going back to Mercedes, getting a good start is going to be important.
Qualifying is going to be important as well psychologically because there's a clean side and a very dirty side of the circuit as well, isn't there? Very, very dirty side of the track. Which is why, if you remember, a couple of years ago, or a few years ago now, Alonso and Massa, and they gave Ferrari gave Massa the 5-place penalty for breaking a gearbox seal, just so they could put Alonso on the clean, inverted commas, side of the grid.
Yes, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, it's quite a disadvantage to be on the dirty side of the grid. So being on the dirty side of the grid, getting a poor start. Lee, stop laughing.
I was just thinking, what fucking... No wonder Massa always looks pissed off.
Well, they broke the seal on the gearbox on purpose
I remember.
to stick Alonso on the clean side of the circuit. Yeah. And
Felipe, Fernando is cleaner than you. Do you understand this message?
Do you think he had sacrificial lamb written into his contract?
We'll just turn around and say, we've got one for you. Depending on how you feel today, Felipe, you might even find this funny.
you want to mention that Eurosport tweet quickly as well?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
For happy birthday, Kimi Raikkonen,
Happy birthday,
the
Kimi.
Iceman.
Yeah, a picture of Felipe Massa on the podium in a Ferrari outfit.
Yeah, well, maybe they said it's the Ferrari man that doesn't smile. Eurosport fail. it's a massive disadvantage to be on that dirty side of the grid. More so if you get a very poor start. Whoever gets pole position and is on the clean side of the grid has to. Really, the pressure's on them then, I suppose, to make a good start.
Yeah, it didn't work out with the damp side last week.
Exactly. And also, if you don't make a good start, you've then got you've literally got a hill to climb right in front of you.
Yeah.
Up to turn
See
one.
what you did there.
Yeah. So anybody who's behind you is just going to tear right past you because you won't have the momentum to get to turn one.
I mean, if Lewis has another start like he did in Japan, I don't think he'd be looking at dropping to 8th. He'd probably be looking at, by the time he gets to the top of the hill, being about 12th or 13th.
Probably.
Just by not having the momentum to get up the hill that everybody else has got.
Yeah.
And that could be where you see the pile up.
12th, 13th with Lewis.
Yeah.
Somewhere back there.
Yeah, with a slow starting front runner.
It's possible. I mean, it is odd that Mercedes have just sort of accepted, well, yeah, this is the way the starts go and the drivers are just going to have to get used to it. It's for me, that's kind of it's counterproductive.
Yeah, it's a shame if fucking like the championship has essentially come down to a clutch.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Nico makes better use of it than Lewis does. He deserves the championship.
You can't fault Nico's driving this. I expect this half the season, like the second half, he's took his ball and ran with it.
He has, and it's up
That was an American football reference there you just made.
Was it?
Yes.
Do you not do that in cricket?
No, you hit the ball and then you run in cricket.
Oh no, but you need to run with it before you throw it.
Only if you're the bowler and then you let it go.
Yeah.
But if you take the ball and run with it in cricket, then nothing happens.
Yeah, but if you take your ball, run with it, and then throw it, you can get a wicket.
Yeah, but you didn't say Nico's taken his ball, run with it and thrown it.
You're listening to the Three Legs, Four Wheels Sporting Metaphors podcast.
Stay tuned for more late night sporting metaphors.
Should I get voiceover man to do that one for next time?
Yes.
Where were we? So who's gonna be the top Mercedes driver?
Flip a coin.
Yeah, literally just flip a coin. I mean, USA is Hamilton land, isn't it?
I think Rosberg lost it for himself last year. I think he was in position to win and didn't. And I think he could win it this year.
I'm going to go for a bold prediction for this involving Lewis. He will be linked to Taylor Swift at some point of the weekend.
I'd like to be linked to Taylor Swift for an hour.
He will be. I wonder if Taylor Swift will do the podium interviews. We all know who we want to do the podium interviews.
We want half.
We want the half.
We do want the half.
Everybody tweet at Circuit Americas.
Hashtag podium half.
Yeah, hashtag podium half.
Yeah,
because at 3 Legs 4 Wheels demanded.
You don't think that sort of thing's been arranged already?
No, not all the time, because Martin Brundle has found out during a race before that he's doing the podium interviews.
All right.
And let's face it, Kai Abel wouldn't be anyone's first choice.
True.
Neither would Eddie Jordan.
True.
Eddie Jordan would be Eddie Jordan's first choice.
And second, third and fourth.
If they can't get the half, can they get Will Buxton to do it? Because at least he's a decent F1 journalist. And he commentates in the US.
No, the best podium interview is Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch is good, actually.
He was good. Arnie was great.
Arnie was
fantastic.
great. Probably the best.
Yeah. But never let George Lucas near a bloody podium again.
No. We want to see the half. It'd be fun to see Taylor Swift, I think, because I don't think, without being too judgmental.
So is this like a car?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm worried
Wouldn't it
about.
be fucking ace if it just turned out that she was like the most avid techie Formula One fan in the world?
Yeah. Yeah, started talking about MGUH and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah. Podium interviews, I want to see the half. We all want to see the half. Tweet at Circuit Americas and tell them you want them. They're probably not them that gets to decide, but at least we'll get a conversation going with them. Hashtag podium half.
Yeah, I mean we will be about on Twitter during the race and doing the live blog,
and well before the race,
and well before the race as well, because we don't have to get up at stupid o'clock in the morning.
Hashtag Circuit Half the Americas.
Nice. Circuit Hoff the Americas.
Is that too long though?
Yeah, I think Podium Hoff's shorter, but I like Circuit Hoff the Americas.
Use both. # Circuit Hoff the Americas. Yes.
I think that's the preview done.
Well, yeah. You say flip a coin for Hamilton Rosberg. What are you saying, Lee?
I'm going Lewis just because I want it to be Lewis.
I'm going to say Lewis Hamilton as well because I think he's due a result over Nico Rosberg, and I think we're going to see some close racing in the next 2 races between Mercedes. I think they're going to throw team radio to the wind and just actually race each other.
I think they're going to take each other out at one more race.
Yeah?
I don't think Lewis can afford to try and overtake Nico because I think Nico knows all he needs to do is drift into him and he's world champion.
But then...
Yeah.
No, I don't mean
he'd be the villainous world champion.
No, I don't mean he'll full on Schumacher it, but he could certainly put himself in the situation where I don't have to not have an accident. You need to not have an accident.
Yeah, but if that happens in this race or the next one, definitely.
Yeah.
You'd be looking at 5-place grid penalty for someone judged guilty of causing the accident.
Oh no,
potentially.
No, what I mean is I don't mean causing it, but I just think he has the luxury of being able to fight harder. In the situation like when Hamilton nerfed him off the circuit last year.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to move this year. He doesn't have to be forced anywhere.
He's not been very good over the last couple of years
at pushing.
Well, not at pushing. He's fine at pushing everyone and getting the limits right, apart from Lewis Hamilton. Yeah. He doesn't know what the right limit is when he's racing his teammate.
Yeah.
He's either too gentle or too aggressive.
Sounds like my love life.
And the thing is, if there is a coming together, and
but only 50% like it.
we don't want to know which.
The thing is, if there is a coming together between the 2 Mercedes drivers over the coming 4 races, and Lewis comes off worst, then that's it. It's pretty much game over.
Yeah.
If there's a coming together and Nico comes off worst, then the championship is suddenly there's a hope. Even if Lewis loses a few places and it ends up with Danny and Max fighting for the win, and Lewis finishes 4th, 5th, or whatever because he got a bit damage to his car. That sort of it's not. It closes the gap a bit, but it sort of keeps the story of this year's championship alive.
Yeah. Call me old-fashioned, but I would like to see the championship decided at the last race of the season.
Yeah, like last year it was a walkover for Lewis, winning it in Austin and then having 3-4 races after that, where Nico won because let's be honest, Lewis couldn't really be arsed.
Yeah, feet up on the dashboard.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you know what would be interesting?
Pagani's under.
Do you know what would be interesting if Lewis can win? What have we got? 4 races left.
Yeah.
If Lewis can win the next 3 races,
USA, Mexico, and Brazil. Would that be?
It would be interesting to see how Nico would cope with that mentally, even though he has the advantage. In the same way as Lewis nearly fucked his own championship up when he only had to finish 5th.
Yeah.
It would be interesting how Rosberg would handle that.
Yeah,
I think he has got the measure of doing I'm doing one race, then I'm doing another race.
Yeah,
I'm not doing a championship.
But that last race has to be a championship.
If it comes down to it.
I think it will, as long as there's no smashy.
I think there might be smashy, but I agree with Dan. I think it's there because I think there will come a time when either Nico's ahead and Lewis is behind, and whoever's behind out of the 2 Mercedes drivers will be like, I can catch him and I can pass him, and the team will say, no, come on, no, don't do this. We'll try and pass him on strategy or something like that. They'll try and defuse the situation, and I believe both drivers will not listen to the team and they'll race hard. And we might even see Mercedes throwing away a race for Red Bull to win a race, and Mercedes finish 3rd and 4th. But they won't listen to the team. There will come that point where they won't listen to, or one driver won't listen to the team. And he'll do a Vettel and he'll go off and do his own thing for his own personal gain.
Just for our listeners that might not be might be new to Formula One, a smashy is the industry term for a bumpity bump.
for carbon fibre disaster.
Yeah,
that's my favourite band.
And doing a Vettel, by the way, for those new to Formula One, is doing a Vettel in Malaysia, multi-21, where he was told by his team to stay behind his teammate, and he ignored them.
And they nearly had a smash-y smash-mash, but they nearly had the smash-y smash-mash in the driver's room.
Punchy punch punch.
Which is like a bumpity-bump-bump,
Yeah.
but with fists.
It is.
I'm glad we've cleared that up. Seeing as we're getting silly season time.
Well, yeah.
Silly?
We've alluded to this already in a little bit, the US GP preview.
And last week we said that it looked like Hulkenberg was possibly going to Renault.
And he's gone.
This week it's confirmed, so everything's gone a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
So Hulkenberg's gone to Renault, so who's losing their seat at Renault?
I reckon both drivers.
Both drivers? In which case that frees up another seat at Renault and
Um,
one at Force India.
yeah, I think we will get Esteban Ocon in one of those seats.
Force India.
Force India or Renault.
I think Ocon will go to Renault, and I think Wehrlein will go to Force India. I'm leaving Manor with no drivers for next year. Hence why they've got Jordan King in the car this weekend, because they sort of got a little bit of foresight here on Manor's part. And give Jordan King a little bit of experience. Might see Jordan King in the car again before the end of the season.
See, I think Ocon's going to Force India.
I would expect Ocon to go to Renault because he's got experience with that team.
Yeah, I just think the tie. I know he's something to do with Renault, but
And he's French.
I think the Mercedes tie with engines is stronger than his tie with Renault.
Renault have said that they want two drivers of the calibre of Hulkenberg, and I don't think you could call Ocon that at the moment.
Not yet. No.
This is why I think neither Palmer or Magnussen will be staying, because I don't think either of those drivers are of the calibre of Hulkenberg.
Well,
I think Palmer will drop out of the Renault team and Palmer will end up at Manor with Jordan King.
That would make sense for Manor because Palmer does bring money with him.
I think Wehrlein will stay with Manor.
Yeah.
I don't, because I think from what I was reading, although he was something to do with the Renault program, he's like fully embedded in the Mercedes Young Driver program. I didn't realise that. I thought he was like a joint project, but he's like Mercedes are balls deep in him.
He was given to Lotus as a reserve driver, testing reserve driver, but when they have Mercedes engines.
Yeah, but this is where the tie is.
And this was the rolling on contract meant that he was going to be their test and reserve driver anyway, even though they were then Renault and used Renault engines.
I also think Mercedes would want him in Force India if they have the choice, because Force India next year will probably be a better car.
Well, then you've got the possibility of, if what Dan said was true, and you've got a Renault seat going to Bottas, then that opens up a seat at Williams in Force India. So
well,
then would you
still
put
two.
Wehrlein?
That opens up two seats at Williams, one of which is probably going to Lance Stroll.
Yeah, as we said before, but that opens up the possibility for Wehrlein to go to Williams and Ocon to go to Force India, or the other way around, whichever way you want to look at it. But I actually think Manor are going to lose both their drivers further up the grid, either to Renault or to the two Mercedes powered
I
teams.
don't think it'll be Renault, but now I didn't think about the Mercedes. I didn't think about Williams, but that's a pretty good idea.
So Wehrlein could well go to Williams if they lose Bottas. If I was Valtteri Bottas, I'd go for a Renault seat for the same reason I think any driver should go for a Renault seat. They're going to be a works team, and you're not going to win races and championships if you're not in a works team. So if the opportunity became available to you, go for it.
The other thing is, we've not really heard Williams saying we've got a plan to turn the team around.
No, this is the thing.
No.
I mean, all they've been saying is they were stopping development early in 2016 to concentrate on 2017, whilst trying to hang on to third place. Trying to hang on to fourth place.
Yeah, they played the long game.
Trying to hang on to fifth place.
They played the long game at it, but what they've managed to do is prove me right.
Yeah, exactly. Completely. And Smedley themselves to the point where it looks like Valtteri Bottas may leave the team. Obviously, Massa's retiring. That looks like that seat is going to be taken, as you just said, by Lance Stroll. I think Wehrlein will go to Williams. I think Ocon will go to Force India. If he doesn't go to Renault, he might go to Renault yet. And Bottas to Renault makes sense, and I think he'll have Palmer and Jordan King in the Manor next year. Palmer brings money. Jordan King, I'm not sure if he brings money, but he, as we've already said, he's got many sponsorships.
He brings biscuits.
Many. Well, you're welcome to join this podcast at any time. Yeah, he's got his own individual sponsors plastered all over his GP2 car.
Yeah.
So if they stick with him and come to Formula One with him, then we'll have another British driver to sort of run the rule over.
Well, it would be nice if Wehrlein did stay at Manor next year. It might put man in the frame for Williams.
Which one?
English.
Alex
Lynn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a name that we haven't
It's
mentioned.
gone very quiet again.
Yeah, but if Williams are having Lance Stroll basically parachuted into the car along with a truckload of money, would they want somebody without F1 experience alongside him? Wouldn't they want someone who
but
did have experience? I would if I was Williams.
You would, but if you can get them, I mean that's the other thing to look at is the fact that Williams clearly wanted to hire Button. No, now it's with what Claire Williams has said about it since
She said it was disappointing.
yeah.
So they were clearly they clearly had the eye on signing Button for next year. So and we've been talking about Stroll going into that Williams for a while now.
Yeah.
So they must have known that Massa was going. So if they were going to install Button and Stroll in the team for next year, that means that from very early on this season they've had no intention of keeping or thinking they're going to keep Bottas.
Yeah.
Which is probably why he's looking at other options, because he's read between the lines. And now Williams are going to have to up their game to keep him.
It'd be interesting whether he's fucked himself, because if he's been playing the long game because he thought he was going to get a drive somewhere else, and all of a sudden the way things have fallen out with Ocon coming into Formula One, because don't forget when this was all getting done he wouldn't have been there, and he might find himself with two younger drivers that are looking for seats that he didn't think would be after the same seats he was after.
Yeah.
One other thing that's come out today, I've only seen this in one place, but motorsport.com are reporting that Grosjean has kept his seat for next season.
Grosjean?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'd keep Grosjean over
Gutierrez,
definitely.
So Haas have only done, well, not even yet, a full season in Formula One, and they need to keep some sort of continuity going into their second season. They've lost a couple of personnel throughout the season already, but it would be stronger. It'd be a stronger position for them to retain a driver at least. If they want to get some fresh blood in who they think can push the team forward, I understand that, but retaining at least one driver, possibly both, but
yeah, there's
Alex
Rossi to take into consideration there, because
we don't think he's coming back to Formula One
after his IndyCar.
He's doing too well in IndyCar to go to.
He's doing too well in IndyCar to go back to Manor, because he's already knocked them back, which is why Ocon's in the car.
Yeah, and
it's so easy to wreck a reputation as well when you build up a good reputation by
and at the moment, if you're doing well in IndyCar, would you go to Haas, who occasionally might sniff the points?
Don't forget, if you could do it, like let's say you could
depends on
Montoya
ambition and paycheck, I think.
Well, let's say you could Montoya it, and next year he rips apart IndyCar. There's nothing to say that he wouldn't have it, like even because he's only young, like next year or the year after, even like he would have when Formula One's got more of a foothold in America. He's a more known name. He might have bigger bargaining chips to get himself a seat in Formula One. And
he's the only American driver we can think of without
Scott Speed.
No, not Scott Speed.
No, he said driver.
Without Santino Ferrucci being brought up into the team, but he's I don't know if he's got a super license yet, and he's very young.
He's only 17, and I just don't. It's too soon.
Yeah.
That would be a career record. That would make Toro Rosso look like a stable place to work.
Yeah.
I don't know with Alex Rossi, 'cause I mean sometimes it's worked for IndyCar drivers that have done all right going into Formula One.
Yeah.
Jacques Villeneuve.
Well, there's a difference.
Winning a
between-
world championship
do
is
it-
doing better than all right.
Yeah, no, but no, I'm just saying that.
I'm talking about sort of Cristiano De Matters and
Zanardi.
Zanardi was just not cut out for Formula One. He had two stints in bad cars.
At least got a foot in though.
But look at other drivers who've gone from other forms of racing into Formula One and either been great at what they did before Formula One, or been and then struggled to perform in Formula One. Look at Gabriele Tarquini, for example.
Yeah.
British Touring Car Champion. I think he drove for Alfa Romeo for one season and won the British Touring Car Championship, and then went to Formula One for the next season, was shit, and then went back to being, I think, European touring cars the following year and did very well again. So
Dario Franchitti,
Yeah.
perfectly capable IndyCar driver at the time. This is before he won championships.
yeah,
Tested a Jaguar and was 3 seconds off the pace.
yeah.
But
There are drivers. I mean, and then you got people like Valentino Rossi, who went round Maranello in a Ferrari and was only 2/10 off Michael Schumacher's best time.
Yeah.
What did Jorge do in the Mercedes?
Did he drive a Mercedes? Did he?
Yeah, he did a few test laps last week, was it?
Yeah, last week.
I didn't see any times.
No, I
Also,
didn't.
I don't know if Honda have released this yet, but Marc Marquez drove a McLaren recently, and Fernando Alonso was on a MotoGP bike.
Oh.
So I'd like to see what their comparable times were there as well.
Especially Marquez.
I'm just looking at Jorge Lorenzo's times actually, just to see what he was like.
Just quickly while we're on about that, Jorge wrapped the championship up this weekend.
Marquez.
Marquez.
Jorge crashed.
Jorge did crash. So
Yeah.
did Rossi.
Yeah, in the race, yeah.
No lap times were released for Lorenzo's times, but he was pleased with his personal performance.
Well, do you know what? The fact that the lap times weren't released, that means one of two things: he was either brick slow,
Or really quick.
or it was a genuine performance test.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was driving on the Silverstone International layout, not the full Grand Prix one.
Yeah.
Which is Silverstone International is the one where they cut out the back half of the circuit.
The new part, isn't it?
Yeah.
The new part they get rid of.
So you wouldn't really be able to compare that to anything, even if you did know the lap time.
Not really, no.
Unless they've already got a time by Nico or Lewis that's thrown it around that layout.
Yeah.
But it seems to have just been a sponsorship exercise by Monster.
I was going to say Monster again sponsoring Jorge Lorenzo and also Mercedes.
The amount of driving that the actual drivers are allowed to do is strictly limited.
Yeah, I mean, McLaren had a filming day with Stoffel Van Dorn at Rockingham this week as well. And I don't know if anybody's saw the video for that, but the McLaren was too long to get out of the pit lane in one go. They had to do a 3-point turn in the pit lane to get the car out of the garage.
Yeah, they said that. What actually happened was he stalled.
No, he was turning the car full lock and he was about to hit the wall, and they were like, "Stop, back you up," and then he had to go. So
I like the idea that
Rockingham won't be taking any Formula One races anytime soon.
Wouldn't have thought so.
I like the idea that maybe it was wide enough and he just got it wrong, and they're in the back going, "This was a bad idea. This was a bad idea."
It was very, very wet as well.
Was it?
Yeah, Jensen, you know that year off. Can you put it off a bit? What else have we got this week? Lewis's sore foot we've got written down.
Yeah, did anyone see that Mercedes?
Yeah.
The celebrations for their Triple World Championship, the Constructors Championship at Brackley, and Lewis went forward to press a button on the confetti machine or whatever it was that rained lots of confetti from a big crane down on all the staff, and he was limping. He it was announced that he was going to miss the tyre test in Barcelona because of his sore foot. But all he needed was some physio, and he'd be fine for Austin this coming weekend.
Do we believe it, or do we believe he just couldn't be bothered to go into the test?
Well, I that's what my initial thought was. He couldn't be bothered going to the test. But then when I saw that he was limping at the celebrations, I thought, well, maybe there is something to it. Apparently, he did it doing some physical training.
Stick a coin in your shoe so you can remember which foot to limp with.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
No, I don't think he would miss anything that could give him an advantage next year, like a tyre test.
Yeah, but he's missed practice tests before, hasn't he? Because he didn't want to do it.
Yeah, he has, but this appears to be a genuine.
I hope so.
Thing.
Because it's. Yeah. I can't understand any reason why a driver wouldn't want to try next year's tyres, because they're massive. They look really cool.
They do, actually.
Yeah, they do look smart, and I'm looking forward to seeing them on the lower, slung, wider cars as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more different looking Formula 1 cars.
Aggressive Formula 1.
Regardless of that, because all we're seeing these artistic impressions of what the cars are going to look like. That's probably going to be very different to what the actual engineers put together.
All we've got so far is a set of rules, isn't it, for 2017?
Yeah.
But I mean, we're going slightly off tangent here. But I mean, the design houses and all the other people with like modelling software can only really sort of give this year's cars next year's rules.
Yeah. This year's cars, next year's dimensions.
Yeah.
So
that might not work properly.
So I'm looking forward to seeing how the other teams get around it. I'm also looking. I tell you what, there's going to be. You know how Red Bull always unveil their cars at the test. They don't really make a big song and dance of it. There's going to be so many fucking eyes on that car, isn't there?
I want to see the return of the black and white livery as well that they had testing last year.
Fucking cool.
Oh, it's ace.
Yeah.
It was to throw people off the shape of the car, apparently. Using
but
I don't care. It looked awesome.
Yeah. If you spiked a zebra with a load of ease.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Yeah, absolutely. Give a zebra a can of Red Bull.
Red Bull gives you spirals.
I loved it. I thought it looked good, that Red Bull car.
Yeah. I think that's about everything for this week, isn't it?
Seems like it.
Yeah, have we got much to talk about Formula Lee wise? Still got
Formula
another week for
Formula Lee. We've had.
It's cancelled.
No, it's not.
It's not cancelled.
It's not cancelled.
Cancelled.
Not cancelled because Lee's not winning. We're looking like times under 140 are going to be the ones that make the top 10.
No, 141's the fastest at the minute.
No, it's not.
No, it's not, because I know for a fact that me and Chris are both ahead of you.
What the fuck? So look, I always sandbag. I'll be fine.
I mean, do you know what? You've got a whole. It doesn't matter. You and everyone else who might be struggling or haven't put time in yet. You got a whole week yet.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure somebody will be putting a setup on the Facebook page at some point soon.
I think someone already has.
No, that's all right then. I've not checked the comments for a couple of days. Guilty of that. There are 4 of us. We can all look at comments though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just say keep leaving the messages on the Facebook page.
Yeah, come have a look.
Facebook.com/3legs4wheels.
Yeah, if you're new, come over and give us a like.
Yeah.
I'd like to say thank you again to our beautiful Patreons, which had that extra little bit of podcasts.
Yep. You can donate to us at patreon.com/3legs4wheels, or just go to Patreon and search for 3legs4wheels. We're in there.
Yeah, and you'll see all the details there as to what you can get for various donations.
Yeah, we are putting merch together, and there's a little bit of an extra non-Formula 1 podcast for all the patrons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I pretend to be funny.
Did you?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
No, I pretend.
See if you can spot it.
And obviously tweet us at 3legs4wheels and drop us an email 3legs4wheels@gmail.com.
Yeah, do that as well.
I think I managed to get through everything. Me and Chris will be doing the live blog on Sunday during the race with comments thrown in from Lee and Dan every so often.
Correct.
Yep.
I want to do another fucking roll call as well. We need more Facebook likes.
Yeah, the last time you did that, we got quite a few more. So
yeah.
Please like us on Facebook, and for anyone listening on through iTunes, give us a good rating on that.
We never asked for ratings.
We've had another 1-star rating. I wasn't
1 star.
Yeah, they didn't leave a comment. They just left a 1-star rating. I don't know what we've done to upset this
troll
mystery person.
Yeah, no, but like
rival
I suspect it was
podcaster.
Nico Rosberg.
I'll fail in that. Cheers, Mum.
Go and leave a rating because it'll get us up the fucking charts, won't it? I mean, more people listen to us. That means we get more excited about it, so we'll probably do a slightly better job for you.
And then more Patreons come in, and then we can provide better podcasts for
Yeah.
you.
And we can afford Coke and hookers.
Or merch.
Yeah. That too.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine if you could get your hands on a tasty 3 Legs 4 Wheels T-shirt,
Yeah.
cap,
And
pin
for our
badge.
premium Patreons, I will sign one of the hookers and send them the body.
I just thought it was going to be a signed postcard.
Do you know what the postage on a hooker is?
Your tone of voice implies that you do.
I think we need to wrap this up, chaps. It's gone a
I
bit
think-
weird.
I think we needed to wrap this up about 2 minutes ago,
I
to
like
be
the
honest.
idea of being the stamp serial killer. People think it's my calling card. We're serious, but I'm just trying to mail them
I
to
feel
listeners.
sorry for the mailman just opening the post box and all the hookers falling out.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right. We'll be back next week.
I'm a total shunt. Follow me on
Possibly.
Twitter.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.